Pathway Studios in Johnston proper. You are live from the path.
I am a working man. I get things done. Work for the Holy Ghost. Work for the
And you're
Son.
listening to Live from the Path, recorded from the Pathway Studios here in Johnston proper.
I didn't know if we were going to go for funny sound
Playing for the
as a way to end
Somebody has to take care of Mike's.
Yeah, that does sound like a thing Mike would do. That's fair. Hey, man, we need a new intro.
What?
That thing is old.
No, I look my best. I
Yeah,
feel-
that's because it was 10 years ago.
yeah. It's downhill from here. Dan, I think we keep it. What do you think?
I love it. I love it. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I look like a baby.
Yeah. Your fallibilities don't cast on everyone else. You need to.
All right, fine.
We need to cast you out of.
I look like Butterbean
Sin
in
may
that
not
photo.
remain in the cap.
I look like Butterbean.
Oh, and you're not for that?
No.
He had a successful life.
Yeah, but I'm not following in the footsteps of Butterbean.
I don't know.
Nor Uncle Fester, which is also a thing I looked like.
Okay.
Rough times.
I was okay. All right, you're listening to Live from the Path. Oh wait, hey, okay. I'm going to introduce the show, and then before we move on to important topics, I want you to think about like what is the most flattering and then unflattering comparison someone has said. Hey, you look like this.
Oh no.
Okay,
yeah.
just
Oh,
something to put
no.
the thought on. Micah, you got to think on it too.
Okay.
Okay.
I got it.
So here's what we got going on Live from the Path. We have, first of all, Micah Empty Smith, also known as Micah Smith, is in the studio with us, and he's going to talk about, he's got a new single out. Now, hold on, you've met him before.
Yes.
He was here. Buva, do you remember?
Years ago.
Okay, Buva thinks about him all the time.
You can take that however you want to.
You do you.
Whatever way you want to take
It's all
that.
good.
Okay, so yeah, Mike has been here before when we had the August Guns in,
Mhm.
but I saw he had a new single out. I took a listen to the cut and said, "Holy cats, we got to have him in here to talk about this tune and catch up and see how things are going." So we're gonna learn. We're gonna hear the tune. We're gonna hear about what's been going on and how you can kind of keep up with whatever Mike is doing. And so we're gonna do that.
Nice.
We also have Buva has run into a very fiery Apostle John
Yes.
about Judas.
Yes.
Okay.
I've been reading my Bible every day now for like 8 months, and I'm almost through the whole thing. It's awesome. And I'm really excited about that. It's the first time I've went through the whole thing and like pumped about it.
Yep.
But I read Gospels like rapid fire. Like I was doing 5 to 6 chapters a day plus a chapter of Psalms every single day. So like Matthew, Mark, Luke were like all within about 2.5 week period, right?
Yep.
And they are very similar and play off of each other very well. There's a lot of thematic things that are in there that make sense.
And content crossover.
Yes, right, exactly,
Yep.
right? But then John just throws a wrench in the whole thing. Like just straight up. Now, I'm not saying it's like counterintuitive towards each other, but like it's just a different type of book. And it threw me off. And there's a lot of stuff that I've really had to take a step back and go, wait, what?
Yeah.
Did I know that at all? Did I believe that? Do I believe that? And what does that mean for me going forward?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been wrestling with is in John 17, there's a high priestly prayer that comes from Jesus, and he's talking to the Father about the apostles around him, right? And like it's a very interesting prayer that like sometimes is kind of difficult to follow along with, admittedly, of like I came from you and you gave them to me, and now that I was given them by you to me, and like all this different stuff. I'm just like, okay. But then there's a moment where he says like, and I essentially gave them you, all of them except for the one who is the son of destruction, so that the scriptures will be fulfilled.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, wait a minute. That seems like a Judas.
Yeah.
Like if I'm thinking of the list, it's Judas, right?
Yeah.
And so if that's the situation, like, did Jesus specifically not cover Judas in like a lordly protection so that he could be tempted by the enemy in a way that it fulfills the scripture? And if so, was Judas like, I mean, destined, if you want to call it, to be the adversary in this situation so that God could fulfill his redemptive story? And if that's the situation, what does that mean for like my overarching understanding of like we all have the opportunity to find Christ and therefore find eternity?
Okay.
And so I've really been kind of slamming with that.
Well, yeah. What do you do with Judas? That's the key
Right,
question.
yes.
From John's perspective. Okay, good. We'll hit that up in the. Sounds like a bit like an Ask the Pastor
Kind of, yeah.
situation. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Also, there is a scoured. I tell you this. Christian media is not interesting. Oh, really? It's getting worse and worse. How many pastors
It's all the same stories.
did a thing, and then here's the Hamas, and here's the something else. But there was BeliefNet.com has come out
Of
with
course.
five sins that aren't sins. I said, oh boy,
Oh, come on.
oh
man.
boy, I've surely committed some of these.
That means we get to have some fun.
Yeah, so we're gonna hit that one up, and we'll just see.
5 ways to tell whether or not your husband loves Jesus based on the apps on his phone. Like, what? I can't stand
How many
Okay.
how many whole grains are in his bread? He
Are you
may-
eating the Ezekiel 7:9 bread? If not, you're not holy.
That's right. He's not even an Anglican. Okay, so we'll hit those, and then we're gonna do some advice on Dear Life from the Path. Did you check it? We got any previews?
No previews yet because the one that I did read up, I was wrong on the title and I thought some lady was ranking her children. But apparently it just meant that she was ranking her children above her boyfriend.
Oh, that sounds funner, the ranking of the children. I don't do that personally, kids. I mean, at least not out loud to you.
I feel like everybody does. Like there's no way. Maybe it's not like forever, but like, is there not a situation where you go, you're my favorite today?
Oh, yeah, everybody's number one. It just depends the scale. It depends what I'm evaluating at any given time. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
I
That
can
gives
honestly say I have never, ever, ever, ever done that.
yeah. Dan says they're both
They're
both
just-
great.
just
yeah.
number ones.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah,
Everybody's the best.
everybody's the best.
It's probably because Dan's the best. The fallibility
I mean-
is on a parent who would rank their kids. Me.
I figure the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. They've got to be all right.
That tree sure is great. Look at those apples.
A good tree produces good fruit. Kids must be all-
There's a self-confidence to that I don't know if I've ever felt, and I love that for you, Dan.
Yeah. Okay. What did you have any? Have you thought of any comparisons? Anybody said, "Hey, man, you look like this," and you were like, at one point flattered, and the other point you're like, "Nah, I wish they wouldn't have said that." Okay, I'll do mine.
Oh yeah.
Somebody said once that I look like a young Matthew Broderick
That's a lie.
from the Ferris Bueller. No, I don't look like Matthew Broderick at all. I don't know why they said that. And this was not a person. I was working at a Casey's when I was like 19 years old, and it was said by a 50-year-old woman.
Oh boy.
Oh,
And
So it was sincere.
I thought like she wasn't trying to
'Cause they're
date
always
me
sincere.
or anything.
Yeah. Right.
And so
Yeah, right. Like there's no like upside for her to be comparing you to a Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, unless she was desperate.
unless she'd been.
I don't
want to
get into
The
that realm.
Graduate.
I don't want to know.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, that was probably the most complimentary
Flattering
comparison that I had. The other guy, they said someone mentioned I look like Clint Howard. Do you know what I'm
Oh
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah.
From the
Ron's brother.
Yeah, Ron's brother Clint. I mean, he's not a
The
flattering.
lesser known Howard.
He's not a flattering man.
He's in the horror stories usually.
Yes, usually he's wearing some sort of teeth. Yeah,
That's fantastic.
that one
I love
don't-
that.
I don't think was a compliment, but is closer to my actual visage.
The non-complimentary one was the most truthful one.
Yeah, I said, well, that's not far off actually, and he does well. And so I said, thank you anyway.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Okay, all right.
That's awesome.
I don't know, Dan.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So when I was in college, the Rambo movies were coming out, like the original one. And
Don't you say it.
If you say
it, they did. They kept saying you remind me of Rambo, and I'm like, I look nothing like Rambo. I mean, there's nothing. My hair is longer.
You're a dead ringer for Sly Stallone, huh?
I know. I was like that. Yeah, that was hilarious. But on the other hand, in that same time period, there were some who said I looked like Bentley on the Jeffersons, or Shaggy on Scooby Doo. So
Okay.
those three make that. I
Oh
don't know.
boy, that's
Yeah.
a human being.
Yeah.
Squish all that together to make a
And
sandwich.
they were all
you've got
accurate
Dan.
except for the Rambo.
Oh no.
I want to be supportive, Dan, but that Rambo seems it seems a stretch.
I think the gal maybe had something for me. And
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
I didn't admit it to myself.
You
but,
remind me of First Blood.
You
I'm going like,
you glamored her for sure.
I know, like
For sure.
I don't know where you're getting this, but I'll take it. And I'll walk a little
You're right,
taller.
exactly. It's like, why, thank you.
I mean,
I agree.
Anyway,
I think I'm more like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but
Danbo's here. Okay. All right. Booba.
Oh no. Okay. So the worst thing I've been called, actually, it changes because it really is insert obese comedian here, and that's what I get. Like, for some reason, people, I don't know if they're like, he's a big guy and he's funny. Go Chris Farley. Like, I look nothing like Chris Farley. You're just going, well, he's fat and funny. So maybe that makes sense, right?
So they're not really trying. They just-
right, exactly. Yeah, no, they're not even really doing any work for, like, actually trying to make this work for me. Chris Farley, I've gotten Andy Milonakis, which was a fat guy on YouTube for a while, and, like, well, same. You know,
Yeah.
and so like it really is. The worst ones are like, hey, you remind me of X Fat and Fun. I got John Candy one time. Someone said I look like John Candy. I'm like, I look nothing like John Candy. You're really just equating obesity and funny, and then going, that seems like a human being I can remember.
Do you think that people? Okay, I don't know how to ask this right.
I'm super excited to hear this question.
I don't know how to ask it right.
I know it's going to go great.
Do you feel like people? Like they just can't help mentioning, like like they have to go, oh, elephant in the room. It has to be a large person.
Yep.
They
Absolutely.
just
You
can't.
look just like Fat Albert.
Right. Yeah, you look like Gabriel Iglesias, the Hispanic man, huh? I a very Germanic-looking fellow with a long red beard, look like Gabriel Iglesias? Okay, got it.
Like they feel like I could see someone feel like they're trying too hard to avoid picking someone who's larger because they don't want it. They feel like it might be sensitive, so they pick something that doesn't work at all.
Right, exactly.
Or they go for it.
You look like John Candy. Like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Okay.
The positive one I've gotten is I look like Luke Combs, who is a country singer. I've been mistaken for Luke Combs before, like in person. Not just like people have said,
that one actually makes sense.
And so, like, I've gotten to the point where when working at a bar, on Halloween, I convinced a couple of people that I was Luke Combs in a security outfit about to do a show.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I went out on stage with a guitar, and they freaked out thinking that they were the only ones that knew that I was about to give a live performance as Luke Combs at a bar in Des Moines. And then I just laughed my butt off at them. Like, no, you're idiots. No, I'm not Luke Combs. And I set the guitar back down and walked off the stage. They were all very angry. But I get Luke Combs quite often.
Okay. I could see that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Which I find flattering.
All right, Micah.
All right, so mine is a bit of a strange one because they are both the same person. So when, all right, Dan,
Are you Rocky or Rambo?
Going on? Yeah,
You look like Miley Cyrus.
Yeah. So when I shave, I look exactly like Eddie Redmayne, the guy from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Like, it's freaky.
Yeah, I totally see that.
So you agree with that one?
So and I was like, all right, yeah, that works.
So
but
if you lit your clothes on fire and no one would help, they'd think like,
you're a blizzard, Harry.
You're
It's
gonna fly.
fine. No, but he has a movie called The Danish Girl, in which he is a transitioning Danish man to woman. And so now I know what I would look like if I had a red wig and put on lipstick. So that's
gosh. That's fantastic.
Yeah, but like, no, it's
Beast
the
and Where to Find
likeness is scary. Yeah, so
Okay.
just go ahead and Google that and be afraid.
Not the second one, but the first one I can totally see. Like,
No,
that
it's-
makes plenty of sense.
It's true. Like my friend Sam showed me, and I was like, wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Hot day.
That's
Now,
me right there.
I had people at a conference last week saying I sound just like Tucker Carlson, which I don't think I sound like him either.
Oh, like your voice?
Sound like
just
Tucker
my voice.
Carlson?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I wouldn't see that either.
I've listened
Definitely
to you
not
for
the
many
laugh.
years, and I don't know if I would say it.
I've never. Yeah, I don't. I'm because he goes, really? No one tells you that? I'm like, you're the first one. And
Weird.
He's done it multiple
So much so
times.
that it's like, it's a dead ringer. You absolutely sound like
yeah,
it.
no.
Interesting.
Now, interestingly, over the last 2 weeks, I've also come to the realization that I look like about 60% of any men that work in an office building that are over 40.
There is a percentage of similarity.
Yeah, I keep getting
You're
all these
not wrong.
phone calls. I'm like, okay, well, that guy looks like me, really? Bald head, black glasses. Yeah, okay, that's us, white fella. Like,
There's a demographic, Ben. You're a part of
and
it.
it's funny because, like, there's nuances when it's humans on video, but people they'll do the avatars.
Right.
And, like, there's 8 people on the call, and they all look like the same avatar.
Avatars look the same.
Because the AI looks at him and goes, okay, yeah, white guy,
That's funny.
mostly bald, big black glasses.
In a Sims world, you are a very stock character.
Yes, right. I am. I'm the guy. I'm the guy on the Guess Who board. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Think of the Guess Who.
Is he
board.
bald?
Hold on.
Okay, flip.
Okay. Now, if you can see on the YouTube, look at me. I look like
that's
the guy
horrifying.
from the Guess Who.
Yes.
Game. Yep.
I would say bald and glasses, and then immediately guess you.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Anyway, hey, if you hit us up on the complaint line. First of all, I want you to Google that Eddie Redmayne thing. Let's validate whether Micah fits the bill.
And then let us know if you think Ben is an NPC.
Yes, I could be. I
think so too.
So, yeah, what are your thoughts? And actually, interesting for you people who listen to the podcast. I'm interested at voice actually. Is there something about Buva's voice or whatever you like? He kind of sounds like a young Tom Brokaw who's had a couple Bacardi Breezers or something.
That is a very specific sound, and I'm so glad you recognize that. That's what I was going.
I'm throwing up a couple options.
Like it just, I had a vocal coach that was like, "This is you. This
Tom?
is what you're going."
Is
for.
that you,
Tom, with a couple Bacardis?
One sheet to the wind. Okay.
Too many Bacardis to party. Tom Brokaw.
Okay. Good. Well, you're welcome for that reintroduction to Hear It Live from the Path. Thanks for hanging out with us so far. You can don't bail yet. Wait. Mike has got some stuff to perform, then I think you could call it a day. So actually, before we get into some of the details of the new cut from Empty Smith, let's hear it. Okay. So we're going to listen to the single is "Are You There?" and it is it's this week, right? Is it just released this week?
It released on Friday.
Okay.
Fresh.
It's out. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. It is a pancake off the griddle. Yeah, he said yes. You disagreed. He was on board.
I don't know if I think he was being polite. I think he was weird.
That also seems fair.
That's what Eddie Redmayne does.
Okay, let's dig on the tune and then we'll learn more about him. This is "Are You There" by Empty Smith. You're listening to Live from the Path.
Days like this, my spirit groans. Your hand is heavy on my soul. If only I knew where to go to make my case before your throne. Prosecute me forcefully, holding on to certainty that my just judge would set me free. Where can I go to find you? To east or west, you are not there. To north and south, catch no glimpse of you. Are you there? Are you there? Though I've tried my best to keep to all the good words that you speak, a lamp of light they've been to me. But it's getting dark, too dark to see. Where can I go to find you? To east or west, you are not there. To north and south, I catch no glimpse of you. Are you there? Stand alone, do what you please. Can't oppose what you decree. With things like this in store for me, that's why I fear you, Almighty. Where can I go to find you? To east or west, you are not there. To north and south, I catch no glimpse
Wow.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Dang,
Sweet.
That was great.
that was awesome.
Yeah.
We said this on I think the show last week or last week or week before when Arendelle was on, and it makes sense to me now even more that like a lot of the times when I hear a song like that, it is powerful because it's the words that I think but don't know what to say. And like that's super indicative of that one right there. Like that's a very familiar feeling and a familiar place to be in, but not one that I would ever articulate like that. And I think that that's super powerful in that, to have words that I didn't realize I would want to say. And so
can I those words are borrowed, I guess, from the book of Job, chapter 23.
Mm-hmm.
If you go in there and read that, I just wanted to capture that feeling.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome to hear people, since the song has been released, I've had people reach out to me and be like, dude, like this resonates with me so
absolutely.
much, because like that feeling of God, where are you at?
Right.
And whatever is going on is a very human thing to feel. Whether it's deep loss or whether someone told you that you look like,
John Candy.
John Candy.
Yeah, sometimes.
Whatever in existential crushingness you're going through. It's
Oh
right
gosh,
there.
yeah,
So,
that makes a lot of sense. Okay. I love that. I love that a lot.
Yeah, I did too. Is there was there anything that led you? Because it's interesting, especially actually now that if you think about it, layer it back onto the Book of Job.
Yeah.
Like, was there something like for you in that took you there, kind of looking for that type of thing, or did you just happen to see it in the Book of Job and it inspired you to write the song, or like what are some kind of the backstory of the tune?
Whew, you wanted stuff to talk about. You just opened up the can of worms. Yeah. So, how do I go about this here? The last couple years have been pretty tough for me.
Yep.
I experienced a lot of loss in a fairly short amount of time.
Yeah.
Man, without to get too deep into the weeds for it. Yeah, I went through a divorce.
Yeah.
I lost my church family. I lost my place that I lived. I actually had to change jobs because of the financial requirements of stuff. So I lost my profession.
Yeah.
The August Guns disbanded. That was a big thing that kind of kept me afloat. I mean, we just kind of moved and life happened and everything like that. And that all happened in a very short amount of time. And so, I went through a bit of a Job-esque season. I'm not going to say it's on the same plateau because dude lost his family and is like just absolutely everything.
Right.
But yeah, just enough. I mean, everybody, if you haven't lost stuff, live a little longer, right?
Right,
You'll get
yeah.
there. You'll get there.
Yep.
But yeah, I just, especially in some of the hard stuff that you pray about, and then God says no.
Yeah.
Oh
and
gosh,
you're just wrecked, right?
Yep.
So how do you find those words when that happens? And gosh, the word of God is living and active, sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing as far as to divide spirit, soul, joints, and marrow. It is a judge of the thoughts and ideas of the heart.
Yep.
And so when I write, a lot of times I go into that trying to find like a specific thing that is either speaking to me, or I figure, man, if I want to put words down, if I'm going to ask for your 3 minutes and 32 seconds or whatever it is,
Right.
I want to make these words count, and what better words to use than that? And like Job, like the Bible, I love it because it's not just this hall of fame of like, here are these awesome people who made all the right choices except Judas. Screw
We'll get there.
guy.
We'll get there.
Yes. But it's real people going through real suffering and making, Abraham, right? Patriarch of the faith, gave away his wife twice.
Right.
Oh, dude, she's my sister.
My
It's
sister,
cool.
take her.
Just go.
Yep.
Yeah, so I love that because I'm not perfect, and like neither are the people in there except the Lord Jesus. So,
Yep.
Right.
Anyway, sorry that was the long.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
It is great, and I think it is. It does get to the heart of scripture that does work. Like it's been a great caution of mine, where we spend time focusing to understand the scriptures, which is it's a blessed thing. But if we come away with knowledge alone, and not that God has put something to what you quoted that is living and active, that does work. Like the good news isn't just good information; it's good news. Like the character of God isn't just something of which allows us to speak about God; it allows us to recognize who we are in light of who He is, type of stuff. And oftentimes it takes the stripping away of some edifices in our lives. To feel it or to recognize it, right? Like sometimes we are blissfully ignorant, not intentionally ignorant, but blissfully. It feels like something can sit on the shelf, and some of those they're just privileged problems, things that maybe we have a blindness to that maybe people in other situations or other cultures would do, and there is. And we miss out on, I think, some of the tangibility, and it's actually one of the things. There's been great progress made on the study of the translations in ancient biblical languages, right? Like this is all really, really good things. But if we know all that, and then like our scriptures don't walk the world
Right.
as they represented Jesus, who walked the world, who was in the midst of like what is legitimate human pain. Like it's very difficult to look out at the world, it's especially situations like some of the things that you were talking about. You're like, but like of anything to rescue, can you rescue this thing that's in front of me? Like totally. And like in a human world where humans, like whatever situations or circumstances occur, sometimes it just on this side of restoration, it just doesn't go the way that even God said, like I created it to be, types of stuff. And like there's a real reality to the hurt, and then a reality to what God still steps into that I think you've captured in the song, and even in the music that supports it. Like just as the chorus fades out and you go back into the verse, like it's just there's a very there's an isolation to it, which I think feels right, and then there's a hope to it, but then there's a questioning to it, and all that I think comes together very well in the tune. I think it gets exactly what you're trying to say. That was a long way to say that, but
someone the other day called it haunting, and I was like, that is the sweetest thing that anybody has ever said.
I wasn't attempting to haunt you. Thank you. Yeah. Wow, that song was spooky. Yeah. Sorry, Dan, were you gonna say something? No. I think that one of the things that I've recognized going through the Psalms is I'm terrible about being angry and like being upset and lamenting. And like there's something about being willing to be real enough to question that. Yeah. Right? And like I think that sometimes we get caught up thinking that like God doesn't understand human emotion, and that's so incorrect.
Yeah, it's dumb.
And it's right, like He created us exactly who we are, and He's not afraid of when we say things like, "Are you even there?"
Yeah.
Like David, Psalm 22 style, saying like, "All of my bones are broken and my joints are out of place." And like eventually, I think like 12 Psalms later, it turns into "You fix my bones."
Yeah.
But like there's an honesty to being willing to go to an omniscient God of this world that created you and go, "Are you even here? Like, are you even present in my life because I don't feel you?"
Well, in the Psalms, oh man, I'm gonna geek out here, but like they give vent in the language to be like ugly.
Yes,
right? Like
absolutely.
There's what is it, Psalm 139, where David's like, I am fearful, or no, it's not in that. It's somewhere where he's like, you want to be like, David, dude, like calm
it down.
Yeah. Because he's like, blessed are those who smash your kids' heads against the rocks.
Right.
And I was like, David, like go to your room.
Calm it down, man.
Yeah.
David, go to your room.
Like,
that's
but
funny.
God, like in prayer, He's not surprised by anything. No. He's not off put. Like, I mean, maybe He's like, all right, dude, you need, but like He makes space for you to be as ugly and little and like whatever caught up in your tiny little human understanding of as it is, and he doesn't look away and turn away from
Right.
that.
Right.
And I love that the Psalms give voice to like just some intense stuff where like, I don't know. I feel like the emotion of anger, Christians have this weird relationship with it where
Yeah.
you're like, don't be angry, just praise all the time. And that's crap because like, you know, don't let the sun go down on your anger. You
Mhm.
got beef, grill it up and eat it. But like if you like God made emotions.
Yeah, right.
Like God gets angry. God gets
Mhm.
angry at the right things. So like there's a place for it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like the reminder that the presence of emotion is indicative of something that says it brings something to your attention. It's similar to like sometimes we react negatively to something that feels like guilt. But like if sometimes what we describe guilt is like God is like tapping on me.
Right.
Hey, like you're walking away from me on this
Yeah.
thing. You're harming yourself.
You're
You're
missing
harming
the
others.
path here.
Like what wouldn't a good dad go, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not going to let this go. And so like sometimes our reaction to anger is totally justified. You look at a world and like it doesn't have to be this way.
Mm-hmm.
And like, boy, we're so bad, or I'm so bad, or like I wish I wouldn't have, acted in such a way and created a mess in front of me or whatever. And like you can't stay in any of these places, but like it's all right for it to show up and for you, because like it calls you to not only oftentimes it calls you to a repentance, but it calls you to an assessment.
Yeah.
What what am I angry about here? And like, what is my opportunity? Oftentimes, it's an opportunity to show forgiveness in places it doesn't belong. Oftentimes, it's an opportunity to repent, to go ask for forgiveness. Oftentimes, it's to look out and like you become angry because you saw something. You're like, my elbows and eyebrows and hands and feet are supposed to go do something in this situation. And so, like, if we use them as kind of triggers to go, all right, like how do I step into this? What am I supposed to do with this emotion? Where we can become dangerous is where it controls us as opposed to you being able to use this thing. Okay, not even necessarily controlling it, but like recognizing, what do I do with this? Jesus, what do you do with this?
Yeah.
There's a lot of healthiness in that, and I think Micah, to your earlier point, sometimes as Christians we suppress and then don't deal with things, which means like if what we're just talking about is true, you miss out on the opportunity to actually have a healthy reaction, to make a change in the world, to repent, to ask for forgiveness, to forgive, especially with something like anger. But like we just took Jesus's words too narrow. Oh, like don't be angry with your brother. I mean, okay, like don't hold anger against your brother, but like if you're angry with them, it's a mark to go reconcile. Like that was actually Jesus' instruction. Like go reconcile.
Right.
Yep.
That's triggered to do that.
Don't bring your sacrifice here. Go reconcile with your brother.
Yeah. So I think things that allow us and kind of call us or invite us into dealing with the world around us. Like it's actually the one of the things that comes up when we talk about when people are contending for the notion, like for evolution, and like one of the things that I have trouble sorting out from that worldview is like, what do you like? Emotions seem like a frailty. This doesn't seem like something we evolved positively to. Like I would look at it and go, I mean, we've become more frail to a certain extent in the presence of an emotion that I don't know, the wolf pack or the turtle can just go, well, I mean, the guy's he's gonna die, and so we're gonna leave. Like it's fine. But like it obviously isn't a frailty in recognizing what it looks like for human connection and connection with God. It's not that. But like if you eliminate those views, emotions feel like something that actually creates a weakness in us compared to, if you're purely on a survival of the fittest. So the question is, but God obviously has put something in humanity that doesn't exist in the rest of creation. And so it cannot be that we are supposed to like be completely devoid of it. Like that can't be right. And there are especially ones that are reflected in the character of God in places where like there has to be a justifiable way to do it. That's the right conversation, not do we suppress, because that causes all kinds of problems. We misunderstand God when we oftentimes misunderstand our own, how we look at the world and feel about it and stuff.
Right.
That's a great song. Okay, so you can find it. So if you're looking for it, you're going to be looking for Are You There by Empty Smith. And so if you go on I talked to the Amazon and I said, hey, Alexa.
I talked to the Amazon.
Yeah, I did. I spoke with it. Do you talk to it, Move?
I don't call it the Amazon. I
Oh.
call it rightly the Alexa.
Well, it responds to me. I don't.
Wait, you say Amazon and then ask a question and it answers you?
Amazon, I wish to speak with you. But anyway,
I
if
bring you gifts.
I'm always
Speak to me.
amazed. I'm always amazed at it too. Like I get used to saying, Alexa, play the hits from the Gap Band, right? But like people you've met, I say, hey, will you play "Are You There" by Empty Smith? And doggone it, fires it right up. It knows what it is. So like, one, give it a spin, and tell us what you think about it. You can find Empty Smith on the socials. So Facebook, he's into the TikTok.
Are you 1,100 years old?
I
What is
can't-
wrong with you tonight?
I can't help who I am.
I'm on the
I
TikTok
too
and the
s-
Facebook.
I too say the TikTok because I am internally 106.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
We got two
Just-
Methuselahs in the room. This is great.
I can't-
Okay, for those dumb people like myself out there, you're saying the letter M, the letter T, Smith, or are you saying the word empty
Empty Smith.
the second
That's
option,
why I wanted to ask,
yes.
because I
Yeah.
wanted to make certain you weren't just weirdly fast saying two letters.
Okay, but you've heard me call him Micah. So an explanation is in order. You've released tunes under the name Empty Smith. Tell me more about that.
All right. So, okay, the moniker was chosen because for a couple different reasons. So, when I was thinking about this project, or if there was even going to be a project, because when I went through my kind of Job season, as I mentioned, I didn't even know if I was going to do music anymore. I
Right.
just felt like existentially drained.
Yeah.
Like I had no life left to
Oh,
give. Like
did you-
no creative spark?
Yeah, did you find yourself picking up a guitar or
No.
or just left
No,
it? You said I'm not even gonna touch
I
it.
was so I don't know. Maybe it's different for other people. Like I guess I always had this perception that like hard times and everything like that would just like boil up, art to like kind of puke out of you as your negative emotions.
Yeah.
For me, it really I don't know if it just got to a point that it was so bad where I just like lost my like I kind of felt just like a ghost.
Yep.
I was there in form, but not in like substance.
Yeah.
And so there was a long time where, man, I just didn't have any creative like spark or desire. My whole life just kind of felt like it was. I just had nothing left.
Yep.
And so when I got to, like, I don't know, the rubble kind of ceased to fall and the dust was falling and stuff, and I was like, okay, well, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I was thinking about a name for it, and coming out of that place, I felt empty. Right?
Yeah.
And in this, so I've always kind of had a secret. Like in the August Guns, it was a little bit more energetic, a little bit more heavy, a little bit more like punk rock and roll.
Yeah.
But rare were the days where I actually wrote anything on electric. I would always write on acoustic.
Yeah.
And so I've just always had like this penchant for softer music. I really like at the time I was listening to a lot of the Steel Drivers, which are like a bluegrass group that Chris Stapleton once upon a time fronted, but now they've got a different guy and it continues to be excellent. And then so yeah, I always kind of like enjoyed that sort of music. And then when considering going in this direction, a lot of artists it's like a 2-name or a 3-name thing. Like one guy that I'm listening to right now a lot is Vincent Neil Emerson. So 1, 2, 3, or Benjamin Todd is another one of my favorites. But a lot of just like people's names versus group names. And so I thought about that and I was like, well, Micah Smith, I personally know at least of one other Micah Smith in existence. So I was like, crap, that guy stole my name, and there can definitely not only be one of us. And then looking around, I was like, well, when you're choosing a name, at least in my thinking, you want something that is going to stand out, if possible, that no one else has. And so Micah Smith was not unique enough, and my middle initial is T for Thomas, so M.T. Smith.
Yeah.
And so I thought, maybe the initial thing, and I was like, no, but like MT sounds like MT.
Right. Yes.
as just was demonstrated right there. And I thought, I think empty, the word, communicates just kind of I don't know. It sets the expectations for what kind of stuff
Gotcha.
is gonna
Okay.
be there. So
Yeah.
I rolled a dice. Maybe it's a little cheesy. I'm a little cheesy, so I guess no apologies. But yeah,
I mean, I think if your music was cheesier,
yeah.
then I would say, oh man, that's pretty rough.
My friend was like, he heard the name of the project and he's like, that is Chef's Kiss level emo, and I was like, yes,
That's
I'll
what
take
I was
Midwest
having
emo.
there.
Yes, exactly. Ohio is for lovers.
farm emo, baby.
Farm emo. I love that. Okay, yeah, that wasn't. By the way, to the viewing public, that was not a setup. I legitimately didn't know if Ben was saying the word empty or the letters MT. I don't trust Ben. That was the situation there. But it turned.
thought it was
It
two
came
letters.
to fruition.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing.
Yeah, that's what Dan.
I just thought you were weirdly saying MT Smith
Oh no.
because that sounds like something you would do.
Yeah, no. As my emulated man of same visage, Matthew Broderick, once said, it's definitely not M.T. Smith, and that's
When was that quote? Do you know?
1987.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Everything happened in 1987. In fact, all my sports knowledge is ended in
36 years
1987. I knew everything when I was 5, and then that's past that I've lost all the things.
36 years ago, everything
Okay.
stopped.
So anyway, the tunes will continue. Mike is going to keep kind of releasing tunes over time as he finishes up and loves them and wants to release them to the public. So the way to know that though is to follow him on the socials. So you want to get on Facebook and TikTok. Is that how you say
The
it?
TikToks.
There we go.
Yep.
TikTok. It's just TikTok.
The TikTok.
Fellas.
Yeah.
Methuselah 2. It's TikTok.
And X.
Instagram, X.
Instagram, that's X. It's X now. Man,
Yeah.
I too am a boomer. I'm out of touch. Yeah, no, I don't mess with the Twitters.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the right move. I was just checking.
yeah. So right now, I just the Facebooks, the Instagrams, and the TikToks
Yep.
is where you can find it. But mostly, I want you to listen to the music. So if you
Yeah.
like it, just share it with one person, add it to a playlist, whatever you want to do.
Yep.
And I've been super. So I was telling him earlier that I put out music in some form or fashion for a very long time.
Yeah.
And this is probably the most successful release weekend that I've ever had because I'm used to making music that's more kind of niche, like.
Yeah.
And this seems to be have a broader appeal. I'm making music that my mom liked for the first time ever.
This
Do
isn't
you have a
nearly as
YouTube
punk rock.
channel?
What's that?
Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, same
Okay.
thing. Empty
Oh,
Smith.
nice.
Yeah, it's all that stuff. So
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. Give it a listen. Give it a spin. I love that. Share it around. Put it on a playlist. Actually, and like put it in your back pocket. There's something about again communally digesting some of the well-earned feelings that are in situations like this. Like the scripture's full of a righteous lament of questions on like what does it mean to be a human interacting with a holy God and in a world that obviously desperately needs it that you're sitting in the middle of. And so just put it in the playlist, things I need to go to when I need to go to them, and dig on it there. All
I
right.
just did it. It's that easy.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's not bad. I'm gonna get on the old TikTok.
Please don't do that. Just as a general rule of thumb, I don't think you should be on the TikTok.
I think I should.
I've seen what you've done with an AI mic. I've seen what you've done with YouTube Shorts on talking about a possum or a raccoon.
Yeah.
I don't know if the TikTok's where you need to go.
They're not ready for me, but I'm ready for them.
That's
what
that
I'm
is
saying.
that is an interesting way to take the information that I just gave you because they ain't ready for me.
I know you were trying to protect them, but sometimes a hurricane's got to blow. That's how it's.
Ben Foost, a man once described.
Okay. All right. Clint Howard 21. Let's look for me on the TikTok. At Clint Howard 21. Is that right?
I hope Clint Howard has that specific handle. It's like, why am I getting a weird resurgence of people talking about me?
He's going to be 22. He's going to sign up after me. He's going to finally get on. He's like,
I
who's
missed
got the
out.
first 21 Clint Howards?
Why are there so many of me? This guy
Okay.
doesn't look anything like me.
Okay, five sins that aren't sins. Here we go. Christians frequently talk about grace, love, acceptance, and freedom. And indeed, These attributes are abundantly available to the person who follows Christ. Unfortunately, however, within Christian group settings, community is the latest buzzword. Is that a buzzword?
Yeah.
You find a buzzwordy, Dan?
Oh yeah.
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 Yep. People do use it across all manner of things.
Yeah, I was just telling someone that this last week. Someone was speaking at this conference I was at, and I said, man, I wish they'd stop saying community and what else. Anyway, yeah, it's a few little key words that they just keep throwing around.
Yeah.
Space, the space.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I mean, I get it. It's not terrible. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just kind of like, okay, you're overusing the word space
You know,
and community.
that is unfortunate too, because like there are times where I've found where like some of these words really do like they do capture what you want.
Yeah.
But then people start using them wrongly, and
Just
then like they're taken away from me. Like I have heard community is a really good example where you're trying to give people a better sense for what we used to mean by church, kind of carried that connotation, and then communities start to kind of get to some of the organic nature of some of those things and like outside building type of things, which is positive. But now we're like, everything's like, this is my community. I'm like, it can't, all these people are not like, you can't, it's not what we're talking about at the very least.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I can see that. All right, we're going to go, here we go. A believer just gets the idea. I don't know why they had to say that in this article though. It's like a personal axe to
We're
grind.
never going to
They
make it through
brought it
half
up.
these articles
Hold on.
because we just stop at every
Any
word and go.
colons?
Community is a word that has definitely been cheapened recently, and let me tell you about why.
A believer just gets this idea, sort of, that he doesn't measure up, that Jesus is displeased with her, and they're on God's disciplinary list. If you felt this way, relax, Bova. Rest and stop listening to the murmurs in the room. There really is grace, love, acceptance, and freedom in Christ. And if you want to find it, start by crossing these 5 pseudo-sins off your list.
Oh,
Full
gosh.
colon.
Unnecessary full colon.
So full it needs a doctor's appointment. Number 1. It's the first
I'm not
thing-
going to let that slip by
it's
without
the-
making a face at you.
It's
Just
the
a
first
heads
thing
up.
I'm going to say on the TikTok. Okay.
So full it needs a doctor's appointment. I hate how much you
It is
love
a
that you just said that.
full-
That's the worst part.
I enjoy myself, and I'm like, Dan. I don't know why my children aren't equally. I'm like, maybe I
This
pressed
tree
it.
is good. Look at this good fruit.
I had too many. That was the problem. I overpressed.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, skipping church. There is no commandment that we must attend weekly or multiple times weekly. Although many people like to quote Hebrews 10:25, let us not give up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing. Arguably, the highly controlled, regimented functions that many people endure on Sunday mornings bear little resemblance to the early Christians meeting in the catacombs of Rome. I like this guy cutting to the quick. And increasingly, more and more people are wondering why they attend what they do. Even if you do enjoy your church experience, and through the years, we have found quirky, fun enclaves of people who give meaning to the word meet. Hey, he's trying so much to not use community. He said enclaves.
Quirky enclaves of people.
You are not sinning if you opt to sleep in, partake of a leisurely breakfast, swing in the hammock, close your eyes, and pray. The bonus is if there are other people in your home, you are meeting together with them, something you may not do if your day is filled with song service, practice, leadership meetings, small group encounters, and visitation. No period. Okay, that was weird. Okay, I mean, yeah, okay, I would agree with this, I guess. But, like, I think we're talking about it in the wrong way.
Right.
Like, I want to be there. Like, I'm not
Yes.
trying to... And in such a way, like, I even when we go on vacation, like, oftentimes it just works out. Like, if I'm going to work on Friday and we're going to be gone for, like, a week, it makes sense to leave Saturday. I'm like, well, can we leave after church on Sunday? I mean, and, like, yes, we might go somewhere else, like, while we're traveling or whatever, but I I like to be there. I like to be with in the community, the enclave of people I'm in.
Did we just turn community into a bad word?
Which, oh boy,
I don't think
enclave.
It's just been replaced by
By
enclave.
enclave.
Yeah.
it's a herd of people.
That'll make a T-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it a lot of things. I mean, this is again, we're too focused on the building and the times and stuff. Like, but if you're intentionally not engaging in groups of people who love and follow Jesus, like that is to your detriment. But Jesus looks at these people and goes, I love these people, and I would describe them as my bride. And so, like, if it's if it's situational, that's fine. If it's an unhealthy place or relationship with folks, that's probably not fine. And I don't even know if it's sinful necessarily, but you're missing out. And so, like, that's probably how we should think about it. Like, you're kind of,
Yeah.
Proverbs talks about how he who isolates himself pursues selfish desires, and you look at David, who's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna kick it, y'all boys go to war. Ooh, look at that naked lady on top of the
What's
roof."
your name, Bathsheba?
Yeah,
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, like you said, don't be legalistic, but don't be an idiot who like
Right.
just
Gosh,
Yeah.
yeah,
put that on
yeah,
a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Join the enclave.
I do think actually I think that Hebrews verse is a powerful one, but like not because I arbitrarily want to make sure you cross the thresholds of this place. It's like, like yeah, be part of what God is doing. Be encouraged, be lifted up, but find places where you can say the things that you don't say to anybody else because like you need it. Find places where teaching, like where God has gifted people to teach and sing, and just you can let yourself go and not carry the burden of whatever it is you walked in with. Like those are all great things.
Wherever your enclave meets and whenever they meet, you just do it.
Yeah, you should do that.
You just yeah. Whether it's 9 o'clock, Sunday morning, okay, that's good. But if it's like, okay, we take attendance here. And I'll do a first service and the second service, but then we'll have like something at night, we had a big chili cook-off.
Yeah.
This past week, I thought, hey, there were some people there that weren't earlier, so I still counted them.
Yeah.
Because they were still gathering with their peeps.
Yeah.
I mean, with their enclave. And so that's going to stick.
The brood.
This-
If we show up here sometime and you've changed the name to the Enclave, I will
Yeah.
be sad.
Please join one of our enclave groups.
We'll call them e-groups.
And one of the things that they pointed out was like, oh, does this even count? Like we're talking with the leadership meetings and the blah blah blah. And like, here's the thing: if you feel like most of your focused time is about the workings of the gathering, then drop it. I mean, maybe don't be part of those things. Like if they feel like they're a distraction or whatever, then I just bail directly. Like maybe you're not the right person for it. And I don't know if you're leading a church and you're like, boy, we spend most of our time on the functions of the thing, then you should maybe consider dropping some of that stuff. Like it may be a good indication to rethink. Are we spending our time doing the things that the people of Jesus spend their time doing? But like, I mean, most of the time, it's like they're just things that keep the thing running. Like it requires some level of organization at a certain size. And so, yeah. I mean, I get it. It's not a sin, but like, I don't know if I care for quite the attitude of which they're referring to.
Right.
Yeah, they're kind of like, they're not doing anything, it sounds like. They're like, okay, well, you don't have to do Sunday morning or anything
Yeah,
else.
we could sleep in and
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a leisurely breakfast.
Okay.
I mean, and sometimes, maybe you do. But like, here's the thing. I generally don't want to.
Right.
Like, well, I
Yeah.
really wish I could miss church today. I mean, I don't know, maybe sometime, but mostly I'm like, I want to go.
Dang it, I missed my e-group.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's see. Oh, number 2. This seems like the same thing.
Oh, great.
Not participating in Sunday school.
Oh, wow.
What?
Sunday school.
That is the same.
Is that something people hold on to?
Here's the
I
thing.
mean, it's a very different thing, but it
is
along the same line. I mean, yeah.
There was a guy, and I couldn't talk him out of it. He didn't care for me, this fella. But like I was helping. I was an executive pastor, and he was going to meet, and he said, "Well, we're going to rename the thing, and we're going to call it Adult Sunday School." And I said, "That acronym doesn't fly, man. Like you got to call it. You got to
Oh,
call it.
sweet Moses,
You got
dude.
to call it something else."
That
And
acronym doesn't
he
fly.
goes, "I don't understand why." I said, "Look, I'm not trying to be childish here, but like can you call it anything else? Can we call it something else?" No. he wouldn't give it up. And so every time I hear Sunday school, that's what I'm like. And then I thought, how did I not think of that forever? Like I was probably 30 by the time it came to me. Like, oh, wait a minute.
And that's what this article's talking about.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
like, skip that.
Yeah,
Run
just-
from it.
It's no reason. Sunday school, which in some circles is more compulsory than church attendance, began in the late 18th century as a literal school for working class children who during the Industrial Revolution worked 12-hour days Monday through Saturday and thereby had no opportunity to learn to read, write, and educate themselves beyond serfdom. I'm telling you, every time you major institution, hospitals, colleges, schools, places for the blind, places, orphanages, like Christians started this. They saw a social need. They fired it up. The worthy endeavor morphed into what we experience today, a segregation of ages and demographics, young marrieds here, sixth graders there, retired persons in the front foyer, children in the basement. Why are they got to put it like that? This guy's really got to bend. That adds another hour of community obligation to the day of rest. Here's the deal. We don't do, again, we house church. So like, we don't really have that structure, but like, even when like I would go, I liked it. Again, I'm not sure what if you not getting anything out of it, don't go. But like, we seem to like be worried that it's encroaching on the hour and a half or hour that us Western folks have decided that we could show up for church. When to Dan's Zimbabwe report, you can hardly get those people out of there after 6 or 7. And so I just like, I get it, but it just feels like the tone here is fighting for the wrong types of things.
This feels like an article that's pointed at the kind of holiday Christians that what they really show up for is the major holidays, but then they feel bad about the fact that they're not showing up to Sunday school and to church and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this is giving them a pass. When it's just your heart that's the problem here.
Yeah.
Like it's your attitude and your heart and the concept of what's obligatory that's the issue here. That is causing your thought process behind, oh, this is a sin and I should feel guilty about it. It's like there's a lot worse things going on in your life if you think that this is the biggest sin. Like this is the one that really needs to get knocked out and I need to give myself grace for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know what's happening.
I mean, if your Sunday school sucks, you should rethink that. Do something that doesn't suck. That seems good.
Yeah, that acronym is rough.
Yeah, like anyway, okay. If you like it and you're learning from Sunday school, then participate with joy. If you're not interested, then don't feel like a pariah. All right. Interesting.
Does that happen in churches? Like, do churches make people feel like a pariah when they're not showing up to the Sunday school?
Here's the thing.
I just haven't experienced that.
There's
That's what I'm
unhealthy
saying, so.
people everywhere.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, I mean, I'm sure you can find something that is that is a neutral thing that some unhealthy person is either leading or participating in that causes problems in it. It's not a problem with the thing. It's a problem with an unhealthy person doing something in the thing.
Forgive yourself for not being in the choir.
Yeah. We didn't see you in Sunday school, Chuck.
Nope.
We did the car wash this year and you didn't show up.
Yes. Have you gone off the rails?
How are you in the Lord?
Right.
Have
Maybe
you talked
Chuck
to him
has.
about the car wash?
Maybe you're used to seeing Chuck, but that's a relational problem. It's not a Sunday school problem. Yeah. Okay. Number 3. Things that aren't sins: thinking or speaking a negative thought. Okay, we just kind of talked.
We covered that.
Actually, but I think I would argue that I'm not sure it's the stuff that we were discussing. It's not negative. It just is.
Right.
And then the question is, that's how it dwells, where you let it to abide, is a question of probably does it negative.
Yeah, real and honest are different than negative.
Yes. Yeah.
I think you also have to be discerning about like the kind of thing that comes out of your mouth in the situation too, right?
Yep.
Like the power of life and death are in the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. So like you don't have to give vent to every negative thought that you think. So again, what was it? Yeah, don't be be discerning. Don't be an idiot.
Yeah, right. Right.
I would be a terrible pastor because I'd just tell everybody, don't be an idiot.
I mean,
Like,
I think,
stop.
I think there's an appetite for that kind of pastor sometimes.
On the TikToks.
On the
TikToks.
Yeah. TikTok pastor. That could be you.
There's
that
no
could
way
be you.
that's not
could
taken
be.
out.
Yeah, like, and it says, and I think to your point, like one of the questions, if you think about negative thoughts, is like, is this true? Because sometimes, like, thoughts dwell and they're not accurate. Like those are like some of the hardest things. Is like something pops into your mind, thoughts about yourself, thoughts about God, thoughts about other people, and they're not true things. And sometimes, especially when it's personal stuff, like we tend to dwell on and hold on to things that if you were able to think objectively, you would know this is not true. But in the moment, because of what's happening around you, because of how you felt when the thing popped in, it holds on for longer than it should. And that happens. And sometimes it's very difficult to get over, and you got to talk people through it. And you have people who have to remind you, hey man, that thing that's sitting on you heavy, it's not even a true thing. So let's try to deal with it. And so they're not always the easiest thing. It's not a sin that it was there, but sometimes it does take effort to combat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it doesn't just go, oh, I don't want to think any negative thoughts, or like something, I don't know if you ever done something like, man, I'm an idiot. And the realization was, as a whole, I'm not an idiot, but in that moment, I was.
Yeah, the truth is right.
It's more nuanced than that.
The mind's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I had last night, I had a couple friends. I said, hey, I need to talk to you after our chili thing.
Yep.
And we just need to sit down and talk. And so their minds started going like, oh no.
Right. Oh, it happens to me all the time.
Yeah. The guy was like, I said something dumb, and he's going to call me on the carpet again. And the gal was like, they're moving, they're leaving. And because I was my wife and I were like, and then down then we're like, oh no, actually it was much worse than that, but it had nothing to do.
Right. Yeah. It's not what you thought it was.
Yeah. It had nothing to do with them or us.
It's much worse.
It was like, here's something you need to know about.
The PG version.
And but they just were convinced, and I've done that. I've been on the other side of that. I've convinced myself of whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing. That's the last thing that person was thinking, or
Right.
whatever. They weren't even thinking about me. You know, it's like, hey, we got to talk about the dog going to the bathroom outside. I'm thinking, they hate me, or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that mind's a powerful little beast.
Yes. Yeah, right. So not a sin, but it is something to be aware, obviously, as your mind. But like, it is a battleground. It is a
Yes.
place where fights can start and where deceit lives. And sometimes in our human frailties, because I worry. This happens at work. Like, people go, hey, we gotta just drop something on my calendar and go, hey, we need to meet real quick. Especially if it's like 15 minutes. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like, they're either firing me or firing someone else. Company's going under. Like, my mind just goes nuts.
Yeah.
And if you don't guard that, it could then it alters you in a way that wouldn't happen if you gave it protection. And so it's an active thing.
You get in an argument with your wife for 3 days that never happened.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because in your mind you're like, oh, I know it's and it's like she's like, oh no, I just
yeah,
we
I
were
know
out
what
of
you meant
toast.
by that.
we
No,
were
you
out of
don't
Raisin
at all.
Bran and I just wasn't happy. I was like, oh,
right.
oh.
Not to sidebar this, but like it's such a powerful thing when you look at the actual impact of truth, like the actual truth, right? Like if I think of the most impactful changes that have happened in my mental and emotional journey, if you'll say, from trauma, has been just finding the truth of things. Like 2 major shifts in my life came from when I recognized what was real about the situation.
Yeah.
And like one was we've talked about it before. It was with my lake of depression. I thought I had to pail out with a bucket. I found a way to just pull the plug at the bottom.
Yeah.
And like that was huge, right? And it was no longer this, it's going to take me 60 years to get through this. It's like, oh, it's not even there anymore. I pulled the bath plug. Like it's gone. It's completely out of here.
Yeah.
The second was like I felt so much waiting for this light at the end of the tunnel situation through my sin and through whatever I was dealing with. And like God just showed up, and instead of like accelerating me towards the end of the tunnel, right, he just ripped the frickin' mountain off the top.
Yeah.
And so it was just sun. It was just sunshine. And it's like those both came from a right sizing and a right understanding of the truth of the situation.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with like all of this hard work that needed to happen. It was just a paradigm shift of like, let me right size this and let me get you looking at it correctly.
Yep. Agreed. Okay. So it finishes off, just because a statement or a thought is negative does not mean that it is bad, and negative or positive statements in and of themselves do not have an innate power to influence outcomes. Oh, I don't know. I think we should
That
be
was a
more
stretch.
cautious than that. Believing that they do is a cornerstone of occult thought. Oh,
What?
I've ended up in a bucket I did not intend to be. I'm a warlock.
You need to find a better enclave.
Oh boy.
I don't know. If you're going to be in a cult, I feel like being a warlock seems kind of fun. All right. Believe that they do as a cornerstone of a cult. It's not true.
Please take that quote, someone,
I know
and
what
put it
they're-
on something.
That's
all I'm
number
saying.
2 on
Coffee mug, baby.
the Clint Howard 21.
If you're going to be in a cult, you might as well be a warlock.
That's,
Ben Foost.
I'm going to dominate the TikTok. So I get what they're trying to protect. Like, thoughts are not instant manifestations. Totally, I get it. And actually,
Right.
people are often led astray by the thought that, like, I thought, therefore I created. However, I think dismissing the impact of the presence of thoughts and your ability and the need to manage them, I think that is being undersold by maybe what they're saying. Not that you're constantly under attack, but I don't know. Some people are. Some people, like, you get in a headspace and, like, legitimately, it just feels like you're constantly being attacked from all sides, and then your own mind is going nuts on you.
Right.
Totally can happen. And so I maybe just don't talk about it so lightly, as if there's not active work in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, the sin. This is funny. The picture related to this one is like a hand with a ball of light coming out of it, which does not fit the thing at all. Number 4, the sins that aren't sins, just saying no. Yeah, it's just weird. Yeah.
That makes me think of David Bowie in the Labyrinth. Yes.
There are a lot of great ministries out there, but that does not mean that you are obligated to participate in them. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this. Stop calling. I think we've had this conversation recently.
Ministry.
Stop calling the things the ministries. Let's just say there's a lot of good things to do. There's a lot of you are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to go do good works. There's a lot of that to do.
Hey, man, I was part of a generation that worked really hard to get us to stop saying committee, and we moved it to ministry. So
Okay.
let it go.
It's progress. Dan.
Let's go with ministry. No.
I'm starting a crawfish boil ministry.
It's the mission of the Enclave.
Mission-
Get on board.
The warlocks have spoken.
But that doesn't mean that you're obligated to participate in them. Saying no is especially difficult when a pastor or church leader asks you to say yes, because there's the added invocation to obey your leaders and submit to their authority. A verse that is trotted out as regularly as the forsake not assembling command. Again, I've never had this happen to me.
You've never had
I've
to
never
say
used
obey
it
your
either.
leaders to somebody?
I've had people but like, how else do you to recruit for things? But
Well,
go,
yeah,
hey,
you ask.
would you be
Yeah.
interested?
Yeah.
And think about it this way: most often, part of the key ministry, the things that go on in the church, the key ministries in the church, right, are things the pastor is behind. If the pastor is behind serving the poor, people will get on board with that. Like they will. This is what leadership does. Like
Right.
people will stand around and scratch their cheeks without someone who goes, hey, maybe we should do this. They would be glad to do it. They are excited to do it. They just need someone to go, hey, do you want to go do it? And so, like, be real cautious about, like, as if the recruiting techniques of someone leading something, like, it's what I have to do to lead people.
Right.
Because they won't go do the thing on their own. In fact, we've often, my wife and I just happen to, like, lead a lot of things that we get involved with. And, like, I swear, there's all kinds of stuff where I'm like, boy, I wish someone would come up with an idea that I didn't have to come up with and go, hey, we need help. So we could go, yep, we'll be there.
Mhm.
Excellent. I didn't have to think about that. I'd be glad
Right,
to go in and join something that they're doing that they're excited about.
Like a ministry.
Like a ministry.
And to be fair here, like there's on the opposite side of this recruitment perspective, there's a wrong way to do that.
Oh,
like
sure.
Yeah,
this perception comes from domineering pastors that are like, you will do this because the Lord has told me that you're going to, and if you don't line up to it, then you're in sin and not following along. And it's like, well, you just needed greeters. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Lord came down as sent an angel of the Lord to sit on your shoulder and go, hey, Jimmy over there, greeter or problems? Like, that's not a thing that's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I
Right.
can't really put words in the
It's
Lord's
like the
mouth, but
Sunday
same.
school. I mean, like you get an unhealthy or crappy person doing all kinds of things. They can also do.
Yeah.
They'll spread it around.
Do you want to know a good way to figure out what's sin and what's not? You should read your Bible.
It's a good story.
That's what you should do.
It's a story.
You should stop looking to lists like this to figure out if something is sin or not.
Yeah.
You should go, I feel like there's a collection of like 66 books by chance that maybe I could read a little bit about and study and ask questions of for people around me, and maybe I'll be more likely that I want to show up on Sunday because I've got those burning questions because I'm on fire for the Lord, to use a very burnt out phrase, no pun intended. Yeah, just be better.
You know, a lot of those are they're treating him as a sin because we're trying to force things that have maybe gone past their time, like we've mentioned on some of this stuff, and
Yeah.
and it's not something that really even maybe that God's really caring about at the moment. I mean, he doesn't care if you, like you said, if you have a greeter or not. I mean, whatever.
right.
You know, it's like if you want to, great. If you don't, the
welcome
church
team's
will not
really
fail.
failing.
We started talk about that recently. We're doing our homeless team. We go in the homeless camps every other week, and we haven't begged anybody. We haven't asked anybody. We haven't even called it a homeless ministry.
Yeah.
We just say, hey, we're going to do homeless, and then like all these people show up because
Yeah.
they want to.
Right.
No one's been guilted into it. They just like, well, may show a picture or two, and here, like, hey, here's what's going on, so you know what to expect, and they're just there.
Yeah, even high level reading your Bible, that's the kind of thing you should want to get involved in. God
Yeah,
very specifically
yeah,
talks
right.
about how you treat the poor. Yeah,
Exactly,
that's something we should get
exactly.
involved with.
Yeah, so it's just kind of cool to see it organically happen, and we're like the Spirit of God's really kind of moving in that and moving the hearts of people, and they're going that direction. So.
Yeah.
Same with our senior thing. You know, like
Actually, I was gonna say that, Dan. I saw a picture on the Facebook. What was it last week? There's all kinds of blue hairs in there.
I
Like,
know, like
What a great service.
I know. It's like then it's like we're a fairly young church, but and so all these people come from around the neighborhood, and
So
they get a
good.
meal, and they get some fellowship, they get some conversation,
That's awesome.
They get out of their apartment, they're stuck in this hole, and they come out, and it's just a growing and
I love
thriving, and we have all these people coming in to help, and we never have to beg, we don't have to like, hey, are you going to be part of the senior ministry?
Yeah, right,
I mean.
right.
What have you done to service the 66 plus people recently?
If you love Jesus, you'll help the widow.
Yeah.
And I mean, which is biblical, but
It is.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
It is true. Yeah. Okay. We can move past it. But Bible verses are not meant to be slung about like arrows. Okay, that's true. Manipulating people into doing what they do not want to do. I mean, that's not always true. So here's the deal. I mean, Dan, you got to be in the same boat. Plenty of times, the focus of the sermon is here's this thing that Jesus is saying, and I think you're probably not doing it. And I wanted to draw your attention to that fact.
Right.
right.
Totally.
There's a lot of stories that's like, I don't want to do this, and God's like, that's not the question I asked. I don't remember asking if you were down for this work.
Yeah, he tried to guilt me. No, he just drew something to your attention
It's your
that
creator
needed to be drew to
put
your
in
attention.
front of you, going, "This is what I have for you. You need to go."
This is toxic.
Yeah, that's right.
Just
I don't feel
stupid.
like it.
negativity.
I often feel that
Sign
way
in Nineveh.
when there's something on the floor in the living room that needs to be swept up. I look at it and say, I will not be guilted by this. I will not be guilted into doing something about this.
Right.
All right. You have specific gifts and passions, along with limitations on your time, energy, and financial resources. Only God rather than men in how you obey God rather than men and how you will use them. Okay, again, I'd be real cautious with this. Oftentimes, the Lord will call you into stuff that has nothing to do with your talent.
Right. And and along these lines, your level of getting involved in things feels comfortable about here. But you really should be here.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the amount of money you're giving up, or the amount of time you're giving up, or the amount of effort or pain you're putting yourself through as it pertains to the work of the kingdom. It's probably not, you are probably not a good litmus test for like, this is what I feel is comfortable to be giving. You
Yeah.
could probably give more. Take a look back at yourself.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it is. Here's the thing: there are things that are subjective, and so like some of those things, like the God's gonna know. It's you don't have to be somebody's Holy Spirit.
Mhm.
However, it is totally good human behavior to ask questions.
Yeah.
Hey, man, because we're prone to slipping. To be honest with you, like we're prone to have our focus move around, and so like every few months, someone goes, "Hey, man, how was are you being generous with what God has given you?" It's a great question.
Yeah.
And they're not going to say, you need to sell your, I don't have a boat, but like, you need to sell your catamaran, which I also don't have. Like, whatever it is. Like,
What a weird correction you just did for no reason.
I kept trying to think
Not a
of,
boat,
like,
a catamaran,
Look
which
at-
I also don't own.
everything I came up with was dumb. Like, when it came
Sell
into
your
my
dune
mind,
buggy.
was
Crap, don't have that either.
It was like a sled, but like the only sleds I have, like snow sled,
The Dollar
I've-
General ones?
I found on trash day.
Even better.
I cycle out sleds from the opportunity days. Like, this is all I have. But that's what kept popping in my mind.
Surprised
Like,
you don't just have pieces of sheet metal, to be
don't
honest
say
with you.
sled. Don't say sled. And so,
Don't say sled. And Jesus commanded him to sell his sled and give to the poor.
So catamaran is what happened. Anyway, like, it's totally a good question, and like that's okay. And like, it's wrong to say, hey, it's between. In fact, the phrase "it's between me and God" is always a significant issue. Like, it could be true, but like most of the time, it's just someone doesn't want to have
Right.
to someone like bring to them something they should be considering. Because the reality is that like God intentionally creates a world and says, "Human, act as my idol, act on my behalf."
Yeah.
Genesis 2:3. Right. And so like, and every time he sends a prophet, speak on my behalf. Like, he uses humans. And so this only me and God and no interaction with humans, it's not a biblical narrative. And so can people screw this up? Can they manipulate people? Can they be totally wrong? Yes, sinful people will do sinful things. But like, don't close yourself off because I think you miss out on the very thing that God points to people to do, which is to go be part of the restoration of his good world in all kinds of different ways.
Yeah. Okay.
This whole list is just kind of obnoxious because it seems just centered around like the comfort zone of the individual.
Yep.
like
Yeah,
we were
absolutely.
talking.
Yep.
And that's just dumb.
That's-
I'm
That's
just
historically a really bad
I'm-
prerogative.
the impression I'm gonna make tonight, if anybody listens, is that empty Smith guy calls people idiots all the time. Yeah, just don't be an idiot.
Stop being
Like,
so stupid.
yeah, like if your willingness to serve God is just as far as your comfort zone goes, bro.
It's a rough go.
Like, yeah.
Right.
Just do it when you're convenient. When it's convenient, that's all that matters.
Yeah. I challenge you to go read your Bible and find that.
This is what I'm saying. It goes to the conversation we had last week about some of the submission stuff. And we're like, dude, the people who are struggling with this, where you're making like these are not serious people.
No.
You don't read the scriptures and
Right.
come away with whatever misogynistic things
Yep.
you're walking away with. These are people who read this thing and reckon with it and go, the responsibility of having people be like I'm supposed to lead people should put something on you where you're like, oh crapola.
Right.
Like, Lord, I need you to stir to me for whatever these responsibilities are. Same thing with pastors and teachers and blah, blah, blah. Not people who are going, ha ha, the world is mine.
Right. Yeah. The
I'll
people
have
that
a
are
sandwich directly.
the
Like,
people that are just totally floored by these kind of articles are cartoons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you might as well know that about yourself. Like if
Yes.
if you're Boris
Change
and
your
Natasha,
ways.
welcome. All right, finally, number 5, things that aren't sins, disagreeing with your pastor or other leader, which it feels like the first two.
Oh, that's a total sin.
Yeah.
That didn't seem like a self-serving answer.
This feels like a why can't I think of the word? What's the Jewish way of speaking? One prime, B prime.
Chiastic?
It's a chiasm. The first two go together, and then the middle one just saying no, those were the last two. Those also go together.
It's building and falling back out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the middle one thinking a negative thought. That was the key Hebrew point. It's a chiasm. Anyway, the Bereans of the Apostle Paul's day were considered of more noble character than the Thessalonians, for they received the message with great eagerness and examined the scriptures every day to see if what Paul said was true. Paul was self-confident enough in himself and in Christ to be unoffended by this practice, and the leaders in your church should be as well. If a lesson or lecture seems specious or unsound, the semi-annual good steward should tithe thusly. Sermons come to mind. This is like a real axe to grind fella here. Then get out of that Bible and start reading. Get out that Bible. So,
Okay.
much different.
We all rightfully looked at each other like, get out of that Bible and start reading. What does that
Something
mean?
different.
Find Josephus.
Better yet, make sure that you're reading scripture at home and on your own on a regular basis, so that by holding to his teaching, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Very good. Fine.
Yeah.
Grace, love, acceptance, and freedom are more than words or idle promises, unnecessary full colon. They are truths that can be experienced in our Christian walk. It could have been a comma. Is
So
what I'm
full
saying.
it needs a doctor's
It
appointment.
could have been a comma.
TikToks, here you come.
Oh,
Let's
gosh.
start taking them seriously.
No, do not give Ben another outlet for people to agree with his ridiculousness.
Okay. I guess, again, I think this fell into a little bit of what we talked about on the other one, disagreeing with your pastor or leader. Like, there is there's a sense of authority there, but what scriptures are calling you to is basically don't set up a situation of which you can't hear anything from anybody else.
Yeah.
That's the caution. It's the same, and it's the same conversation we've had around how you think about relationships with husbands and wives. You don't let the whole world have an opinion on you. That's risky. I don't trust the whole world. But like, are you willing to listen to a man who God says, look, I'm putting the responsibility on this guy. His job is to otherwise represent true things that are coming from Scripture. Are you making sure that you don't walk in like so high and mighty that you're not willing to listen to somebody who God
Right.
has given a responsibility
Right.
to? And same thing, like I may be able to tell the whole world to go away, but when my wife speaks, I'm listening.
Yeah.
And same thing with the wife for the husband. And like it puts a situation where it builds in relationships that have self-prescribed humility in them. In case you need reminded, because sometimes you are on defense against the things that the rest of the world is talking about or how they're speaking about you and stuff. And so it's okay to protect yourself, but like you can't be the king of the hill, man. It's a risk to you.
Yep.
And so that's the caution on that piece.
Agreed.
All right. I'm kind of curious, I guess. 515-517-0085 caller text. I don't know. Can you think of other ones where you're like, sometimes
Things that
we
sound like sins,
we
but
talk
aren't really.
talk about them as sins, but they're not really. We've talked about this before. It's not even as a sin, but like I get cautious on people who have a weight on things that otherwise are good, but like, so you're reading. In fact, I was talking to someone recently, and they had gone like 40 some days reading the Bible daily, and then they missed a day. He's like, I got, should I think of it as like starting over? It's Nathaniel, like who was there, like who was on the show every once in a while. Nathaniel was talking about it. And I'm like, boy, I just think that's sort of like, it's great to read the scriptures all like every day.
Right.
Great. And we talked about in the past, like, it's a bit of a modern problem though. Like most people did not have personal copies of the scrolls.
Yep, right.
That's relatively like last few hundred years thing. And so the weight of it can't be, I do something that only Christians over the last few hundred years could even have possibly done. And then have some level of God is disappointed in me. I look at it the same way I looked at the church attendance. Like, I try to read the scriptures daily because I need to. I want to. It's good for me.
Yep.
Sometimes it's a vitamin. Sometimes I really that I have to take, and I know I should. Sometimes it's because it's a salve and I really desperately want it. Either way, it should be happening most of the time. I get cautious that sometimes, like, oh, God's really mad because I couldn't keep up my Bible reading. I'm like, I just look at it in the right ways.
Yeah.
It is a good habit, and you should totally do it. But don't over-index on the presumed God's reaction or irritation with you for something that he gave you as a gift. It's like if you gave your kid a I'm going to date myself. You give him a Super Nintendo.
You gave him an Atari. And they didn't play Pong that one day.
That's right.
I was really upset about that.
As a dad, would I be like really mad? I gave you this thing.
Really?
I can't believe you neglected it today.
Oh,
The scriptures are better than that.
Sorry, I had to portray you as that. That was really fun for me.
I think that's fun. That's fun. All right, you're listening to Live from the Path. Thanks for hanging out with us so far. All right, so as an intro to things that we thought that were in the Bible, but didn't turn out to be, I'll give mine away. I mean, very clearly recall sitting in an apartment complex when I was 16 years old, in a mattress on the floor that I was sleeping on, reading the scriptures.
As a 16-year-old does.
As a 16-year-old does. And for some reason, what I remember is somebody prayed and then God dropped a rock on somebody. And as a 16-year-old, I thought, that is righteous. I love this.
The Lord dropped a rock on somebody.
Now, it turns out this did happen, but it wasn't the way that I remembered. It wasn't a personal like drop rock on Steve. He offended the world.
Uh-huh.
But there is scripture that talks about like a rock being dropped as part of an otherwise contextual battle or something.
Yes.
And a rock is dropped on something.
Yep.
Groups of people. And so I did not remember it correctly. And it stands out to me because I remember thinking at the time, do I have the strength to pray for a rock to be dropped on someone? And who would it be? And so I'm like cycling through people.
Do I have the strength to pray for a rock to be dropped on somebody?
Listen, I'm not saying it's
What
right.
an introspective question for a 16-year-old to ask.
I think to Micah's earlier reference, like you hear David pray, and again, if we're not approaching scripture well, you're like, oh yeah, I didn't realize this was on the table.
Trample my enemies under your feet,
Who
Lord.
shall be bashed upon a rock? That Leonard who harassed me earlier today? Like, I don't know.
You're going to get what's coming to you, Leonard.
This is why we have to learn to read the scriptures well. But
True.
like, again,
Yes.
I took the wrong thing, but it just stood out to me, and I thought, I don't ever remember reading this. This is fantastic.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I missed it. It was just wrong.
Okay. Fair enough.
Dan?
Yeah. I had the impression that the only true good biblical family was a father and a mother and children, and it was just stayed together forever, and it was perfect. You know, this perfect idea. And then I remember one year I was going through, just the whole patriarchy, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all the different and trying to.
Breaks pretty quick.
Yeah, it's like they all are half
family,
sisters and
yes.
brothers, and here,
That's
go
my
ahead and
sister
have my
wife,
servant,
literally.
and here, and I looked at that and thought, wow, God did a lot of good stuff through some really messed up,
Wow.
dysfunctional families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just kind of like, okay, all right. So I divorced my wife. No, I didn't.
I can't deal with this nuclear family any
It
longer.
gives you grace, like, okay, life happens.
Yes,
life
right.
happens.
Yep.
And God can still use you even when life happens and some real terrible things happen, and that is a story of all kinds of tragedy in there.
Yeah.
And poor choices.
Yep.
And
Yeah, that's a big one.
that was that was revolutionary for me though.
Nice.
Great one to learn. Boova.
I got two.
Okay.
First one happened today.
Yes.
I said this earlier, and I'm going to say it again. If you would have asked me this morning at 8 a.m., hey, Boova, were you willing to bet your firstborn child that the Lord electrocutes people? I would have been like, absolutely. Yes. I believe that wholeheartedly. Because in Acts 5, as we all remember, Ananias and I say Sapphira, I'm not certain if it's right or not, but whatever. They essentially say, we're going to sell a plot of land. We're going to hold back part of it. We're going to give it to the church. And then we're going to tell the church we didn't hold anything back.
Yeah.
And then Ananias just says that. I think it's Peter calls him out. And he just kind of like slumps, and is dead.
They're coming to get your body.
Right?
What?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. I would have told you. I would have got it tattooed on me that it was literally a lightning bolt that came down and smote him.
Maybe Peter had a.
I don't know.
prod.
I don't know what he did, but like if he had a cattle prod, it wasn't talked about in John.
Yeah.
But like, excuse me. But like, I swear on my life, they were electrocuted. And then Sapphira walks in, and then Peter basically goes, "Yes, it was sold for this much, right?" And says the lie, and she affirms it and goes, "Yes, that was exactly how much." And then he goes essentially, "The ones who carried your husband out will carry you now," and she just kind of slumps over and dies.
Yep.
Again, I could have sworn it was an electrocution. I thought the Lord sent down lightning bolts through the house, and it just killed them both. I don't know why I specifically thought it was lightning, but I very specifically thought it was lightning.
And not at all lightning.
Not at all lightning. It's literally just like and then they fell over and died.
First time you read that, you probably were reading like Iron Man.
Yeah,
prior to
maybe.
that,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
you're
Like, oh yeah,
I know how that
Storm's power
happened.
showed up from the X-Men. Like, yeah, right, exactly.
This is what happens when you buy kids the Action Bible.
I had that Bible. I won't deny it.
That's what
I
I'm
had that
saying.
Bible.
That's what I'm saying.
The second thing is I was preparing for youth group a couple weeks ago, and I was in Ephesians 6 with the armor of God, and I would have sold a kidney for it was the sword of truth.
Oh,
I was 100% certain that it was the sword of truth, and the that was, I'm like, man, it's such a cool thing because like our weapon is truth. I planned a whole lesson around this that it was the sword of truth. Because I was like, I know Ephesians 6:20. Like, I know about the armor of God. I understand this stuff. I listen to podcasts recently. I know what I'm talking about. And then I was like, I'm just going to go read it real quick to make certain I'm on the right place. Nope. Belt of truth.
Belt of truth.
Belt of truth.
Oops.
And I was like, crap. This completely throws off all the anecdotes that I had, all the stories and all the cool connections I was having were like, we don't even have a weapon to fight against the enemy if we don't have truth, blah, 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 blah. Because, like, I swear, like, I built this up, and then I went and read it, and I'm like, I have to scrap everything I wrote down, because this is not true. It is the belt of truth. It is not the sword of truth. But I would have fought you for that. Like, I would have put hands on you saying it was the sword of truth, and I was incorrect.
That's wrong. Okay.
No electrocutions, and it is the belt of truth.
It's egregious.
Not as cool to our new age kids, but still just as important because without the belt, you don't carry a sword. So
Yeah. And your modesty is presented to the world.
yeah, exactly.
Although it might have been not talking about pants. It's more about keeping your cloak together.
Right. Yep.
Right on.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Micah, do you have any?
I was trying to think. We kind of touched on the bigger one, like the more in-depth one that, Christians aren't supposed to be angry, like, anger bad. No.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
One is that, actually, this is a fun one. When the wise men come to see baby Jesus, the nativity pictures them coming to the manger, but if you read it, it's actually they roll up to the house, and it's like two.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Not a baby anymore.
Everything is a lie.
There's not even a drummer boy there.
Yeah.
There's no drummer boy.
No drummers.
What even is frankincense?
Yeah. So that was shocking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like the manger's in the house.
The manger's in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
There's so many Bible stories that as an adult you read them, and what you learned in Sunday school was the Sunday school version with the flannel graph and happiness, and let's not talk about cutting babies in half and stuff. And
the baby.
yeah, you grew up and you go, wait a minute, there's a lot more to this story.
Right.
Yeah, right.
There's some other
Specifically
stuff here.
Jonah.
Yeah.
There's a lot more after he gets spit out of the whale.
Jonah's
The
best.
majority of his story is after he gets spit out of the whale, and it gets really rough for him.
Tell me about this pile of foreskins. I mean, what's that all about? Like, we didn't get that.
Make a
in the
necklace out of him, David.
Or like the Noah's Ark, like all the kid, but my daughter's 4, so we got the kid Bible and stuff, and all the happy little pairs of animals, and we just minimize like all the let me in, let me in.
What are those scratching marks on the outside?
Please.
Like, this is kind of a horror
people
story,
dying.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, but it sure is.
Everyone is dying.
Gosh.
around
Oh, that's
it, so-
funny. Yeah.
And the like a good 85 donkeys who are like, what about me though?
Right.
I was number 3.
We're filled up. We don't need your genetic material any longer.
All right. Okay.
Oh.
So, all right. So we covered the things that were. So I'm interested if you want to hit up the chat here on the YouTube or on the Live from the Path Complaint line. The Bob Eisenhower Live from the Path Complaint line 515-517-0085. Call or text. Also, I think we're out of voting season, but I just do me a favor every time you see it come up, and they're taking those who's the best realtor in the lands. I want you to vote for Bobby.
Yeah,
I want
Bob
you-
Eislauer.
yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
I
he's-
bought 11 houses from him.
Yes, you've not bought any houses.
No, that's true.
Yeah. I
It's a
did.
valid point. I did lie there. I'm so sorry. We talked about the truth earlier.
I did legitimately buy a house from him, and so I feel good about that because like he sponsored the show for a number of years, of which no one had actually used him as a realtor. But he was a really good dude, and so anyway,
Still is.
He remain. I don't know about that. I haven't seen him in a while. Bob, we need to connect. Your treat. 515-517-0085. Call or text.
Do we want to talk about the John thing, or do you want to go into Dear Life of the Past, depending on our time?
What are we doing on time? Oh shoot!
Yeah.
The date tarries. Okay, let's hold John's representation of Judas for next week.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Dear Lad from the Path, after my husband's younger brother recently passed away, the family gathered. When one group of nephews arrived in a city an hour away from us, we were invited to lunch. The restaurant was where the nephews had first been introduced to beer by their now deceased uncle. My husband didn't want to go, saying it was silly to drive that far for one meal. I convinced him to go, to celebrate family ties and spend time with these nephews we seldom see. When we arrived, one of the nephews had arranged for his friend, a realtor. Ooh. Eisenhower, was this you? A realtor who works with an estate sale agent to attend the luncheon. This friend delivered a sales pitch to my husband, who is the administrator of his late brother's estate. I was offended. I didn't think the time or the place was appropriate. I felt the sales pitch was an intrusion. My husband is more forgiving. He sees nothing wrong with someone seizing an opportunity when it presents itself. If it were up to me, I'd exclude that realtor from consideration because of his insensitivity. However, my husband is considering using this agent because his youth and aggressiveness may be an advantage in selling. Of course, it's my husband's decision, and I'll bow to whatever he decides. But now I'm wondering, am I wrong to be upset because these relatives invited this person into what was going to be our family time?
Yeah, I wouldn't blame the guy. I mean, that's his job. I wouldn't want that job. It seems like a real rough thing to
estate
be
sale
involved
realtor?
with. But people do legitimately need help in that situation. The family members, however, I would certainly have a stiff talking to.
So you think talk to the nephews, but maybe still consider the realtor?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's good at what he does. Do you want it done or don't you?
Was that fair?
I mean, you kind of assume that you give them the benefit of the doubt that hopefully they really had their best interest in mind of the family. That like this
Right.
guy's really good. This is an opportunity for you to meet him. It is pretty tacky timing. I would agree. I mean, it'd be like I wouldn't have an ear for it. I'd be like, nope.
I wouldn't either. Like,
Yeah.
so like if you're the nephews, like I totally get going. Hey, I know a guy over there. He can come and talk to you if you're interested. I just didn't know if this was a good
Right.
say whether it's a good time. That's where the nephew should have done.
I'd say they call me in a month.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening too quick here.
It's kind of weird for this ambush luncheon
Yeah.
with this real estate or realtor person.
Again, like I kind of feel bad for the guy. He's probably used to being in situations like this. But like, if I got invited to go do some sort of presentation and the key guy who needed to be influenced did not know I was coming, and it's a potentially sensitive situation, I'd be pretty irritated.
Right.
At the dude who invited me in there. Like, what you put me in this position for, man?
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking to those nephews anymore. Schmucks.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think it's okay. I think I'd be generous with the realtor dude if he's good at what he does, and you need him to accomplish something. Then bygones, man. You've already passed the hard part,
Right.
and then it's probably just I wouldn't even be so mad about it. To Dan's point, I mean, they probably thought they were doing something helpful. They just hadn't considered necessarily what the other dude, the husband, might be feeling, and so maybe just reach out to him and say, hey, just think about this next time, or in similar situations. It's worth knowing that this was probably a little bit odd.
Because they're cousins, right? So
Yeah.
the further
Right.
you are away from the person, the less you get the pain, the closer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
you're not feeling it.
Right, and the more you're actually trying to help in what feels like practical ways,
Yeah.
even if people aren't ready for practical ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just blind to the fact.
Yeah.
That their world's upside down right now.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a really good reminder too. Like sometimes people want to help, they don't know how to help, and they're not close enough to feel the same emotions that you're feeling. And so it's possible that their ways of offering to help may feel either shallow, crass. I don't know. There's a bunch of ways in which it might not come off right, but like it's hard to be gracious with other people when you're going through something, but just like recognize that people oftentimes are trying their best. They just their best is not up to the task, and they don't know
Yeah.
the difference.
Right.
That's why they say dumb things too.
Right.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
think, I'll say
agreed.
something helpful here. And it's like, you know,
It's like your intention was
oh,
to
you
be
can have
helpful,
another
but-
child. It's like,
Come on.
Right.
you know,
It's like tragedy happens, but like there's some practical things that have to happen after that kind of tragedy. Like you get in a car accident, somebody's got to sweep up the street of part of your car that just like blew up and is all over the place. And of course, there's a sadness to somebody may have been hurt in that accident,
Yeah.
but it's still Joe's job to like sweep up the glass that's on the highway.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to. There's a perspective of like there's practicality in tragedy, but like there's a level of like maybe some distance between these things need to happen.
yeah.
Okay. Secular says, I agree it may have been insensitive to turn an occasion when the tears were still wet into a business meeting. However, what's done is done, and I hope your upset has dissipated. The responsibility for settling his brother's estate now falls to your husband. If he feels that insensitive and aggressive, if he feels that insensitive and aggressive is the way to go, leave the decision to him and stay out of the line of fire.
Okay, that's an unfair characterization.
Yeah, agreed.
It's like a
Your husband, who apparently has no concept of emotion,
yeah.
it's like that seems unfair here.
Jeez.
Just because he's like, well, it's practical, it makes sense. Let's just get it done.
Yeah. Okay.
I can appreciate an aggressive sales pitch, and I don't care about my brother. You're right. It's ridiculous.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do one more advice, and then we're gonna finish the night. Are you still feeling okay?
Maybe save that.
Maybe wait on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
we'll
so here's
save
what
it.
we're gonna do. Do we have two more advices?
I can make it happen. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do two more advices, and then we're gonna have a mystery tune of which I see what he's done here. Empty Smith has put us in the position where we have to invite him back on. What he doesn't know is I was gonna do it anyway. Because when you find good folk, you gotta rescue the show.
Double down, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's do it.
That's true.
That's the smoothest thing that's happened.
It's definitely not coming from you.
Yes. What? What do you mean? That hurt me.
Dear-
What you said. Hey,
He likes the enclave here.
Dear, laugh from the pain.
I feel like I lost a few inches in my height by how you spoke with me.
Oh, that's rough. I'm sorry about that. Dear Laugh of the Path, how do you deal with a jealous adult sibling?
Wait, we're not brothers, but like this is about you. Like you didn't hide it very well, but he looks like a young Clint Howard. How do I deal with it?
How do you deal with a jealous adult sibling? My sibling has never spoken of this to me. However, my sibling's partner made it clear they felt I was favored over my sibling by our parents. I discussed it with our mother. She told me they have helped dig my sibling out of the hole many times. My sibling has since passed away, but years later, my in-law mentioned again to me how I'm the favorite with details. I didn't respond and just let the person talk about their feelings. I'm not sure what they want from me. Whether their statement is true or not, I don't think my in-law should be speaking to me about it. Of course, they would never say anything to my parents. If this person brings this topic up again, how should I respond?
Well, wait, the sibling's dead, right?
Right?
Yes, the sibling
Who
is dead.
cares? Take it. Enjoy it.
Dan says
I'm number one.
Take the win, brother.
I'm a survivor.
he's not gonna give up. He's not gonna stop.
Don't you ever quote Destiny's
He's
Child at
gonna
me
work
again.
harder.
I hate this so much. Oh, gosh.
What a weird.
What?
This seems like a weird set of situations, right?
I
Like
might be the
false guilt.
favorite. I don't believe I'm the favorite. My parents have never said that this is true, but my sibling is dead, and my in-law keeps bringing up that you're obviously the favorite. What do I do?
what a we. That's what I'm saying. Like, what? Why is this even coming up? Like,
I don't know.
your deceased sibling, like you were the favorite over them. Why
Right.
are we saying this
I'm
right
imagining my sister-in-law saying this to me in 30 years, and like, how would I handle it? I'd just go, okay, great, thanks so much.
I've always thought myself the favorite as well.
I thought to myself, good tree, good fruit, many times.
Yes, right. Have you seen my brother?
Okay,
Of course I'm the favorite.
so we essentially say, do nothing, like just take it,
Let it go.
let it go.
I mean, I wouldn't encourage. I'd figure a way to maybe discourage the conversation. Like, there's no reason to indulge in it. I mean, you don't have to
Yeah.
embarrass
Why?
somebody. They're like,
Lean into it.
Yeah, just like, tell me more about my eyes.
You're absolutely right.
Um,
Christopher was the
More
worst.
details.
You married the wrong sibling.
Right? It's unnecessary disparagement of the dead. Like,
Right,
I guess I
yes.
just don't even know why, to what value we're even talking about
Yeah,
it.
this
Yeah.
is so far from a realm of anything anybody should care
Yeah.
about. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know you were always the favorite. Well, thank you. I miss my brother deeply. Just again, you don't have to embarrass them because they're probably not trying. They're not trying to be embarrassing.
You should,
but like,
You
just
could
say,
pivot it.
you should accost them and say 5 nice things about my sibling.
Yeah,
That's what you should do.
My brother was all right too.
We both had our strengths and weaknesses.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Second-
I just weighed it. Yeah, I don't know, Michael. Any other thoughts here? You think just kind of divert?
Just soak it up, baby.
Take what he says. Take it in.
That's what
Don't
we're
be an
talking
idiot
about.
and soak it up.
Don't be an idiot. Be that favorite living child. Okay.
You know, I got a coat of many colors.
We know how that-
I had dreams where I dominated all of you.
Yeah. For some reason in my dream, I was just the tallest cornstalk, and all of you were just snapped in half, and I don't know why.
Sheaves that were bending down. Sheaves don't normally bend down, but in my
But in
awesome
the
presence,
In
they
my
sure
presence,
do.
they sure did. They sure did, everyone. What's that? You're selling me? Oh.
Oh. Why did you put me in this pit, though? Didn't you
Don't
hear
touch my
dream?
coat, man. That's from Dad.
That's right.
All right, Secular says, tell your late sibling's partner you are tired of hearing it. And if they have a complaint to air, it should be made with your parents. If your sibling was irresponsible with money, the fault is not your own. You have nothing to feel guilty about, though it appears this in-law is trying to make you feel that
Did
way.
I miss the detail about the irresponsible with money?
I think they said
Well,
that
they've
the
helped
parents bailed them out a
out.
couple times.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Why are they? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That is a separate question of which maybe wouldn't be in the position to address. But like, are they struggling to deal with the death of your sibling, of their spouse, like because their marriage wasn't healthy, and this is their way of kind of like
Yeah.
saying something? There's something else maybe going on that they
Yep.
need to work through that they're
I
not
think that's
doing.
fair.
So.
It's the spouse who's jealous. I was interpreting that as the dead brother was jealous when he was alive, and it's like, well, he's not alive.
Yeah, it feels
Right.
like the spouse.
So
was-
it should have shut down by now. Yeah, right.
Either the spouse was jealous because they thought the parents were showing favoritism, or there's something unhealthy about their marriage, and like they don't have an outlet to otherwise disparage this dead person because like
Yep.
it's rough because when someone dies, everyone says the glowing thing, but when you're in a relationship with them and something about that is not healthy, there are very few outlets actually for you to
Right.
be able to say, you know what, that person was not a great person to me.
Right. Nobody goes to the funeral and goes, "You're all liars."
Yeah, that's just relation. Oh, I'm very sorry for your loss. I didn't lose much. This guy was terrible. Right?
He was a schmuck.
And so it's actually it's a very it's very difficult because now you are actively suppressing something because like it's a very harsh thing to speak ill of the dead, but a living person like hosed you or something, and so it very well could be that like that there wasn't something healthy about the relationship, and like there's no outlet for it, and so. Maybe they get something out of
Right.
mentioning
There's a
like
gratification there.
like you were the favorite.
Yep.
You really were though.
Okay. All right. One more.
Yeah, one more.
Dear Live from the Path.
Yes.
For years, we have given generous gifts to our 6 out-of-town grandchildren and received almost no thanks or acknowledgement. It hurts my feelings because I devote a lot of thought, in addition to money, to choosing something special for each of them. Obviously, it's kicking me out. Obviously, they don't care, but when we have just sent checks, not knowing what they read, where, or want, our checks are always cashed. It's the same with gift cards. This year, we will send gifts to their parents, our own children, period. The grandchildren receive your letters booklet, including the section on writing thank you notes. Please send me 6 before the end of November. What?
That is a cold grandma right there.
Grandchildren receive your letters booklet, including the section on writing thank you notes.
How old are these
Please
kids?
send me 6 before the end of November. Oh gosh, it seems out of town adult grandchildren is what makes me think of it, but I might be wrong on that.
I mean, do they know you very well?
I think they're I think they're kids.
Doesn't it sound like
You think these are children?
Like-
Oh, that's even worse
That's what I would
for the grandparent.
Yeah, that's
Like,
could be. I
calm
just
down, they're kids.
Assumed. Yeah.
Most kids don't say please and thank you at all.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I would. A couple of things. It'd be nice. I guess. Are you interacting with these kids at all? I would never. I wouldn't. I actually don't even expect my own kids to say thank you. Like I'm with these people all the time.
I don't. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, out of town grandchildren.
Yeah. I don't care if I get a thank you note. I mean, I think it's weird when I do get a thank you card from someone. I was like, really? You waste all?
I thought it was weird when I got a present from my out of town grandparents. I never expected anything from that. So okay,
Yeah.
Yeah. I would
thanks
say
for the book.
Yeah, so maybe a couple of things. One, like you really should rethink your attitude towards this. Are you giving gifts because you want to be a gift giver, or are you giving gifts and you're trading them for thank yous? Because if you're trading for thank yous, I can recognize why you're disappointed. But like, what? That's probably not a good bargain.
Your exchange sucks.
If you want to be a gift giver, it looks like you're succeeding. They're cashing the checks. They're spending the gift cards. Like, you are bringing people joy by giving to them, and they obviously are using it. And so if that is not enough for you, you might need to rethink your attitude, especially with your grandkids. I mean, if you're worried that the kids aren't being raised right, I would be cautious on using this as the indicator. It's a little bit tertiary. It's peripheral to write to get thank you cards. I mean, some people are really good at this. Like, it's built in them. Then they love it, and they're awesome at it. I'm not. I don't know that actually. I know very many people who are, and I am pleasantly surprised. Someone says, "Oh, thank you," and for innocuous things like "Thanks for having us over for dinner." Oh, well, that was nice. It has never motivated me to do it personally. Like, I don't know. It's in people's personality, but like, I think, I think you just need to change your attitude here. Just change your attitude. And part of me, when you were talking, I thought, oh, I don't know, maybe she talks to the parents, but like, don't do that either. You don't need to talk to anybody. Give gifts because you like to be a good gift giver.
Okay. All right. This is a long one from Secular, so I gotta figure out where to truncate. But Secular says, the issue you have raised is one I hear about often from other ticked-off readers each year. I'm sorry you didn't mention how old your grandchildren are, because the fault may lie with their parents, who should have taught their children this social skill from the time they were old enough to hold a writing implement. Some people procrastinate because they don't know how to express their feelings via the written word and fear they will say the wrong thing. They mistakenly think a thank you note must be a long and flowery, when in fact short and to the point is most effective. Then they go into giving all the reasons why you should order the How to Write Letters booklet, and then give you all the information on how to do it, the postage that needs to be sent, and how much money you should send to buy said book of how to write letters. With the holiday season fast approaching, this is the perfect time to reply with a handwritten letter, note, or well-written email. Although handwritten notes are the gold standard, many folks these days opt to take a shortcut by using technology that didn't exist before the quill and inkwell. While texts may seem cold or terse, they are better than no acknowledgement at all. So, here's why they should have written a letter. Here's how they can write a letter. Here's an instruction manual on how to write a letter. But in the event that you're only getting a text, deal with what you get.
I don't. They went through it way too fast. How was it that I write this letter again?
Well, she could have sent a book. Yeah, right. I think she could send a link, and then it's free.
When was the last handwritten thank you note any of you've written?
Oh, recently.
My wedding.
I actually did it recently.
Don't try and seem cool.
I know I did.
That's fair.
I did. Oh, if it's a long time, then it's righteous.
Yeah.
If it's recently,
in
it's
any
a problem.
situation, you are incorrect here. You did a handwritten thank you note recently?
Okay, yes, I did.
Really?
I did, yeah.
What was the situation?
It was around. Was it just?
It was meaningful, apparently.
One of the kids. I don't like. It was somebody close to me. Where and it was innocuous. It was like one of the things, like a note of encouragement,
cool. Okay.
And a thank you for whatever, just like normal things.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
I remember hearing one of the presidents. I don't know if it was Reagan or Bush or one of the guys, Nixon, whatever. Somebody. They were saying used to write handwritten notes to people all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And they were talking about how powerful that was. And I thought, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
So it was like maybe in the 80s. I bought a couple boxes of really cool blank note cards. I was going to write everybody in the church just like once a month. I still have those two boxes.
I was about to ask if you still have the boxes.
I think
Every
I can
year
find
he pulls
them
out and goes, "This is the year.
This is it. This is it."
Yeah,
I mean, they're
this
old.
the year I get
They'd
to
probably
be like
crumble
old
if I open the box up.
Tricky Nixon.
I had great intentions.
I love that.
I do think, despite my own shortcomings and most people's, like there is something very powerful about taking time to write something and say thank you, even if it's small. I get tied up because like I'm pretty good at like long form stuff, but like short, very relational things, I'm off. Like I can't think of anything to say. I feel, but my wife is great at this. My kids most of them are also great at this. But I stare at a piece of paper forever. Like, what do I mean? Well, thanks for, oh, shoot, what do I say? Like, it's very difficult for me to do, but there is something very powerful to do it. So I would encourage it, actually. I think it's great to teach your kids that. I think it would be awesome if they responded to Grandma and say, hey, we love it that you send us this stuff. We really appreciate that you think of us. Here's what we did with your gift card.
Yeah, right.
As a service to Grandma. Not because you have to, but because you know she would enjoy it, to be able to see what joy she brought to you. And so, like, that's a great thing to be able to do. But otherwise you can let go of the hammer.
My grandmother and I have a relatively tense relationship, and we're not getting into that, but like I still make certain that if she ever sends me money or a card or anything, I'll call her or text her. Like I know, because I know it means the friggin' world to her. Like it just flat out does.
Yeah.
And I hate it. Like I'm just like I struggle to have nice things to say, and it's really a thing between me and Jesus that I need to figure out. But like I know it makes her whole year when she sees a text from me that says, hey, Grandma, thanks so much for that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Just
agreed.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, you're listening live from the path. Thanks for hanging out with us this evening. We really do appreciate it. A big thanks to Empty Smith for coming in, performing. Make sure you check out the single. It is Are You There? And you can find it again on all the socials. I'm a promoter on my TikTok channel, Bova. Take that. Post number 3.
I'm not doing any of that, but I did put the song in one of my queues.
Okay, awesome. Hey, you want to throw that on the Live from the Path Facebook?
If I can figure out how to get on it. Yes.
I'll do it. Never mind. I'll take care of it. I forgot. Okay, we'll get that out there so that you can, I want you to listen to it. I want you to share it. I want you to keep it for those moments that you really need it. God's has used Micah's situation to otherwise produce something that you can also draw you back to him in those moments when you need it. So that's a real blessing. And so, again, make sure you hook up with Empty Smith on all those channels. And we'll be back. I don't know, the stuff gets dicey towards the end of the year with the show, but I think we're back next week. We'll see how it goes. In the meantime, be faithful in the means. God will handle the ends. You've been listening to Live from the Path.